Welcome to the Mystic Fool. I'm Martin Worth, and this is the Mystic Fool.
Alrighty, today I want to talk about discrepancies and coincidences. Yeah, I was thinking, I met a guy in January who was talking about there being 12 months in the year. Yeah, okay, we know there's 12 months in the year, but you know, there are 12 moons, as in M-O-O-N, moons. And he had an interesting theory that there should be 13 moons in a year, because as we know, there are approximately 28 days in a moon cycle, and that means there should be 13 months in a year. And I thought, that's an interesting discrepancy. And he said there's more to it than that, because you've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and then we get to August and September, and Sept is 7. October, Oct is 8. But September and October aren't 7 and 8. They're actually, as you know, 9 and 10. So there's a couple of extra ones been pumped in there. And the theory is that July and August are extra months that were put into the calendar by the Romans. July for Julius and August for Augustus, which is kind of interesting. And what I think is interesting is, what happened if those two were put in extra, bumping the rest of them up, where September should have been the 7th month and October should have been the 10th month, and maybe and October the 8th month. November would have been the 9th, December would have been the 10th. What were the other three? Interesting, hey? What did we lose when this discrepancy was created? You see, they say there are 12 zodiacs, but actually it has been said there are 13 zodiacs. Now that's interesting, isn't it? And you can do a bit of Googling if you like. If you're interested in this stuff, you can do a little bit of Googling around what the 13th zodiac sign is. And that's an interesting thing in itself. Just as the Earth rotates around the sun, every year, that's an Earth year around the sun. The sun is rotating around the galaxy, around the galactic center, which some people say is the Pleiades and some people say it's something else. I don't know. It's hard to find truthful answers these days on the internet. But one thing that everyone does agree on is that the rotation, I don't know how they work this shit out, to tell you the truth, the rotation of our sun, our solar system, around the galactic center is 26,000 years. And they say that it stays in each of the zodiac signs for 2,000 years. Now, if I multiply 2,000 by 12 zodiacs, I don't get 26,000. I get 24,000. So what's the 13th one? Interesting. It makes me wonder. Yeah. So we're supposed to have 13 months. We're supposed to have 13 zodiacs. And those 13 zodiacs fit into the rotation of the of the sun around the galactic center. And they say 13 is an unlucky number. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, the other thing I find an interesting discrepancy is, we've got 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a day, and we've got 360 degrees in a circle. And now I sort of wonder myself, because they reckon this was based back on, I think it was the Sumerians, I think it was, who worked on a system of base 60, where we work on base 10. So, 360 degrees in a circle, 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute. Okay. Where did the 360 come from? This is my theory, that once upon a time, when the Earth was in a different dimensional frequency, its rotation around the Sun was 360 days, not 365 and a quarter. I also think that because we talk about the Earth having shifted into a different dimension around the time that the dinosaurs disappeared, and perhaps hit by a large meteorite, enough to knock the Earth just a little bit off its axis as it is sitting now, parallel to its rotation around the Sun. Perhaps also knocked it a little bit further away from the Sun, taking an extra 5 and a little bit days in a year to rotate around. Now, if you listen to my the last podcast on dimensions, you'll know that dimensions are of a certain frequency. And if we change the frequency, we change the dimension. Was there a dimensional shift on the Earth plane from a frequency of 360 rotations in a revolution? In other words, 360 days in a year to 365 and a quarter days in a year. That would be a different frequency. There are also stories about there being, most religions, histories talk about a flood. And there is a lot to be said that way back when, perhaps before this meteorite or whatever it was struck the Earth, and the Earth was standing straight up and down, not on a tilt like it is now, and it was rotating at 360 revolutions per spin around the Sun. Perhaps in that time it is said that there was a band of water around the Earth, like a greenhouse. The Earth was like a greenhouse, was like a garden. And at each evening the water would condense and come down and refresh the Earth, and throughout the day it would condense, just as it does now. But there was a water band around the Earth. When the Earth got hit, or whatever happened, and the Earth got tilted, and the Earth moved into a different dimension, this great quantity of water that was suspended around the Earth fell, caused the flood. It's one explanation of it. And of course then, when the Earth's on a tilt, that's how we get the seasons. And with the seasons, we have the freeze of the water at the poles. And so there was a drying out at that time as the water froze at the poles through the seasonal shift of the Earth. Then the water receded, and areas like the Great Inland Sea that used to be in the middle of Australia also receded as the water gathered at the poles. So there's something interesting to think about. They found pyramids on Mars, hey, and the pyramids on Mars apparently are exactly the same configuration as the pyramids in Egypt. Interesting coincidence. The other interesting coincidence is that the pyramids on Mars replicate and are aligned to Orion's belt. Orion being the constellation of the hunter. It's interesting also to note that the pyramids in Egypt replicate, the three main ones replicate and align with Orion's belt. And when you look at all the minor pyramids and substations, then and you look at that and you compare that with the CERN generator in Switzerland, the three major stations of the CERN generator also replicate Orion's belt and are aligned with Orion's belt. And the minor stations replicate the layout of the minor pyramids in Egypt. And you'd wonder what that's all about, hey? Discrepancies and coincidences. I don't have any answers about this, but I sure would like to hear from you if you have some answers or thoughts around this. Yeah, post something in the comments. Send me an email to themysticfool@martinworth.com. Let me know. There's some food for thought. There's at least 3 different subjects there. All of them perhaps have a relevance and a bearing upon this time, that this age that we are in at this point in time on Mother Earth. Yeah, thank you. Love you. Bless you. I wish the best for you. Thank you. See ya.